Hi, I'm Karen Espley. I'm an award-winning business coach and author of The Profitable Business, How to Create a Thriving Business That Works for You in 7 Shortish Steps. So this is one of a series of 4 videos that I've created for you, which looks at how to increase the profits in your business without having to increase your sales. The first video we're going to be talking about is looking at the pricing of your products. So there are actually 4 ways to increase profits in your business. The first is to increase sales. Seems pretty obvious. The second is to put your prices up. The third is to manage or cut your costs. And the final one is increasing the efficiency in your business through things like automating or outsourcing. I'm not going to be covering sales in the video series because that's not my area of expertise, and there are plenty of other people out there who are far better qualified than me to talk to you about helping you with your sales. So this video is about pricing, so let's get started. The biggest challenge I see with a lot of clients that I work with is that they don't price properly for what they deliver, and most of them underprice. And it's a real challenge, certainly for a new business starting up. There is that sort of pressure or that thought that they have to keep their prices low in order to win some competition, or win against the competition, or that they haven't got any proof that they are good at what they do, so they feel that they have to offer things cheaply to get themselves off the ground. Unfortunately, this does have the reaction of there being less perceived value in what you do. And I have a slightly bizarre example of that, and it's looking at something like having a Bic Biro versus having a Mont Blanc fountain pen. If you have a Bic Biro, it costs you, 20 pence to buy, and it does exactly the same as your Mont Blanc pen does, so useful for writing. But because it's only cost you 20 pence, you're much less likely to look after it properly. So you might chew the end of it, you might just chuck it into your handbag or briefcase, or you might lend it to somebody and then not worry too much about whether or not you get it back at the end of the day. Whereas if you've paid £300 plus for a Mont Blanc pen, you're going to treat it with much more care. You're going to probably keep it in the case that you bought it in, and you're certainly not going to be lending it to anybody else because you don't want to lose it. And this is the difference I see between people who charge cheap and cheerful versus those who charge at a much higher price point. You get perceived by the client to be much more of a collaborator or a team player or part of the team versus being cheap, to be seen as cheap as chips at the other end. And I know this because when I first started my coaching business, I was charging only £50 an hour, and that unfortunately did result in me getting some clients who knew the price of everything but the value of nothing. And actually they were far more demanding than the clients who I work with now. They would phone me, they would email me, they would demand my time even outside of our coaching session, and it was very difficult to pin them down. So I'd see them for a month, and then maybe they'd see me the following month, or maybe they decided they didn't want to. It was really challenging. And another thing I discovered is that it takes as much effort to get a lower price sale as it does a higher priced one. And that was quite a revelation for me because if you're going to put that effort into getting a sale, you might as well put in the effort and get somebody to pay you more than to get a lower priced one. And pricing correctly eliminates those hard work clients. So the ones that do demand more of you and who don't really value what you do, the minute you put your prices up, actually it makes it very easy. They tend to self-select and tell you that they no longer wish to work with you. So I thought I'd give an example, a real life example of how this has worked in real life. So there's a web design and support hosting support company. So they provided hosting for email and website, and they were only charging £10 a month for hosting and support, which is really cheap as chips, which resulted in a number of issues, mostly being that they had massive work overload, people bombarding them and expecting a lot more than what they were actually getting for that £10 a month. So they made a very bold decision and they increased their prices to £50 a month, which, as I said earlier, the right pricing, they lost 40% of their clients as a consequence of that. And you're going, whoa, that's scary. Well, yes it is, until we look at the numbers. So let's bear in mind that they kept 60% of them, and as a result of that their revenue went up 2.5 times. So if we just do a quick example of what that might look like, let's say they had 100 clients paying £10 a month. That works out at £1,000 a month, or £12,000 a year in terms of revenue. But by pushing the prices up, they lost 40 of them, but had 60 paying £50 a month. So that works out at £3,000 a month, or £36,000 a year. That feels like a bit of a result to me, and hopefully you agree. So of course they didn't just put the price up, they offered a couple of sweeteners. So in order to justify the price, they added a couple of added benefits to their offering. So they offered their clients an extra hour of support per month, and they introduced a really tight service level agreement to provide, I can't remember what the figures were, but something like a 99% of uptime per month, and offered refunds if they didn't achieve it. So this was a double whammy of loveliness, because they already knew that very few of their clients would take up the extra hour, and they had very, very good service and systems in place that their uptime was pretty good anyway. But from the client's perspective, this felt like really good added value, and from their perspective, this was something that they were able to give without it actually costing them a huge amount more. So where does this leave you? So the thing to do is, first thing is to have a look at your pricing with a critical eye. And if you struggle to do that, then get somebody to help you with it. Other people will be much more honest with you. Or go and have a look at what your competitors are doing, go and see what they're charging compared with the service that you're giving with your product or services, and see whether you are actually underpricing. And if you are underpricing, are you prepared to look at the areas that you can work on to look at putting your prices up? It might well be that you have mental blocks in place that are stopping you from charging higher prices. I know it's something that I certainly struggle with. It's really about working on your confidence to understand that the value you actually deliver to your clients is really worth every penny that you charge them. The other thing to look at is if you're trying to sell too many things. If you've got too many products or services, you're trying to juggle and sell a whole load of them. Some of them may be less profitable than others, so it's really worth having a look at the sales and profitability of each of your products or services, and see whether there's any of those that you can drop, particularly the ones that take up too much of your time for too little return. So that's the end of this first video. If you'd like some more information, I have created a video of the entire presentation, which is about 35 minutes, and you can get the link to download it there. Or if you prefer the ebook, then you can get that at this particular link. It's about 18 pages, excuse me, so it doesn't take you too long to read, and it has additional information to what's in the video. And I have tons of stuff on my website, so if you want to go and have a look and see what other things that you can do, there's some really good books on there that I recommend, and there's also some downloads, so sales forecasting tools and stuff that you can get as well. So that is the end of the first video. Hope you found it useful. The next video we're going to be talking about is how to productize your products or services.